Welcome back to the show. Here with me now, Mike Clay, Director and Managing Editor at ProFootballFocus.com. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, anytime. Anytime we could talk football with everybody focused on March Madness, baseball. We got to get some football in there. So
it's a 365-day-a-year sport. And
keeps us busy.
We love it, exactly. So as with any offseason, lots of coaching changes, coordinators as well, and that will have an impact on fantasy players and their value as well. So who are some of the big coaches, coordinators that have caught your eye that will have a positive impact on their team?
Well, certainly Ken Whisenhunt going to Tennessee's big. Kendall Wright is a guy I think is a big winner there because in his past we've seen a lot of slot receivers do a ton of damage. We saw Eddie Royal score 8 touchdowns in San Diego last season. So I really like Kendall Wright. I think he's a big winner from Whisenhunt going to Tennessee. Other winners, the tight ends, really, that got new coordinators. We saw Gary Kubiak going to Baltimore, Norv Turner to Minnesota, and, of course, Scott Linehan going to your Cowboys. So those guys, Rudolph, Witten, and, of course, Pitt, are big winners. I think they're going to be tight end ones this season.
Witten, yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
As an Eagles fan, we're going to try and behave ourselves here. Okay, so on the flip side, unfortunately, optimism over. Who are some changes that detrimental to their fantasy?
Right. Well, I mentioned Gary Kubiak, and the third wide receiver we've seen play a lot, especially last year, because they were struggling a lot. They were playing from behind. Marlon Brown, a good up-and-coming guy. They re-signed Jacoby Jones. I think those guys are going to have struggle to find the field. So if you're looking at them as sleepers, probably a bad idea. I mentioned Whisenhunt going to Tennessee. Delaney Walker, he plays a lot in line. He can move around, but I think his ceiling's kind of lower. He was looking maybe like a sleeper this year, going to be involved in that offense. I don't think so now. As Wright picks up more targets, Walker's the big loser. Alfred Morris of the Redskins, we know that he's already limited because he doesn't see a lot of targets in that offense. It's going to be the same thing now with Jay Gruden there. We saw he was looking at Darren Sproles. They're probably going to look for a better passing back than Roy Halou. So, I think that his ceiling remains very low, and I wouldn't take him as a top 12 running back.
Your gut, Chris Johnson stay in Tennessee, or is he gone?
No, he's gone. I want to see him go somewhere crazy like Denver, and imagine that him running against nickel instead of base defenses like he did in Tennessee. Right. He could really open up some gaps with Peyton Manning. So I'd love to see that.
We've got to timestamp this right now.
That's me dreaming.
You look like a genius.
Yeah.
Kind of sticking with the free agents now. A lot of the big names have already been signed. I guess the biggest one, Michael Vick. Still kind of up in the air with that. So who are some of the biggest winners in terms of fantasy there?
Well, certainly Ben Tate. I mean, this is a guy that goes to Cleveland where he can be the feature running back, and I think he has a chance to maybe see 1,000 yards, maybe score 10 touchdowns. So I really like Ben Tate this season. I think his ceiling's probably, again, like Alfred Morris, probably a little bit low because he's probably not going to see a lot of targets. He's struggled in pass blocking and in catching the football in past years with Houston, so that could be a problem with him. Golden Tate, he goes from the run-heaviest team in the league to maybe the team that's going to be the pass-heaviest in Detroit. He's going to be the number 2 option there. I think he has a chance to really be have his best season again, maybe approach 1,000 yards. And Emmanuel Sanders, the easy one, the Denver Broncos. He's going to be maybe the number 3 there, probably in line, maybe number 4. But a stat here, I love my stats at PFF. Wes Welker was the number 3 receiver last year. He was on the field 89% of the time when he was healthy. So that's Sanders' job now. He's going to be out there a lot and has a chance to rack up a ton of targets.
The Peyton Manning effect. Well, I know everyone's down on Eric Decker. Some of the free agents that saw their fantasy value drop with changes.
Well, I know Mr. Mayo disagrees with me here, but maybe
he's getting a lot of FaceTime, even though he's not
I know. I know he likes him, but I don't. I don't think he's even a wide receiver 3 this season. I mean, I know he's their number 1. He's going to see a lot of targets, but he's going from the best offense in football to maybe the worst. They were the second lowest in terms of offensive touchdowns last season, so that's a big problem, especially if they don't make an upgrade at quarterback. And it looks like they're probably going to give Geno Smith another look there. So that's a big loser there. James Jones going to the Raiders. Again, same concept. Aaron Rodgers going to, and maybe some foreshadowing here, Matt Schaub. It looks like he's going to Oakland. So, I think that really hurts his ceiling. He's always been a guy that matched up against lesser coverage. He was not near the top of the depth chart there in Green Bay, so I think that's going to hurt him quite a bit. I think he's really going to struggle.
Let's talk about Matt Schaub just quickly here. Horrible season for him. We created the term the Schaub. What was it, 4 straight games with a pick 6? 10 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, just over 2,300 yards in 10 games. Do you think that was an aberration, or is that something par for the course we're going to see with Schaub now? looks like in Oakland.
Well, he's better than that. We know that. We've seen that in the past. But what he really needs is a team that is going to, play good defense, run the ball well, and then he could do some damage. He did struggle in play action last year, but that's how he needs. That's the best case scenario for him to be successful.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen in Oakland. Unless Darren McFadden just comes out and finally breaks out. I think that team's going to struggle, and he's going to throw a lot of interceptions. Again, I hate to say it, but I think he may be one of my last rated quarterbacks overall.
Well, I'm curious to know your thoughts on Cam Newton and the Panthers, because boy, it has been a horrible offseason for them. News coming out now that they've signed Jericho Cotchery, reportedly as well Tiquan Underwood. Doesn't necessarily solve the receiver problems, but it is a bit of an upgrade from, I think the other group had 4 or 5 passes. That's it in the NFL. So what to make of that whole situation?
Well, they're certainly not done. You have to imagine they pick late in the first round. They're probably going to go wide receiver there, and it's a very deep position this year in the draft. So maybe the 3rd, 4th round they draft another starter. It's very possible. Ideally, Cotchery is the 3. Underwood maybe battles for that number 4 spot. But again, Greg Olsen, he's a guy to look at now as kind of a sleeper. That tier of tight ends, the tight end 2s and 3, or the back end tight end 1s. It's very deep, and Olsen should be near the top of that. Consider that last year, weeks 5 to 10, he averaged 4 targets. From weeks 11 on, it was just under 8. So, Newton really started to rely on him when he realized he didn't have great talent at wide receiver, and I think that's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, well, there is still time, as you said, for adjustments to be made, and it's a curious situation because they were such a breakout team, and now it's
absolutely they have work to do.
Disintegrating there. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Mike Clay there once again from ProFootballFocus.com. I also want to thank Rob Silver for coming in, talking some baseball, and of course Corey Erdman and Pat Mayo wrapping up our outfielders conversation as well. And that is it for today's show. We will be back on Monday. Enjoy the weekend.